Good idea.
All right, I got a song for us. It's called Working on a Building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. It's a Holy Ghost building. It's a Holy Ghost building. It's a Holy Ghost building for my Lord, for my Lord, for my Lord. Now if I was a sinner, I tell you what I do. I quit my sinning and all of that sinning, 'cause I work on a building too. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord, for my Lord. Now if I was a drinking man, I'd tell you what I do. I quit my drinking and all of that sinning, and I work on a building too. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord, for my Lord. Now if I was a preacher, I'd tell you what I do. I keep on preaching. I work on a building too. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord, for my Lord. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord, for my Lord. Let's do it again. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord, for my Lord.
Amazing where you get these incredible songs, Louise. Beautiful.
Well, we are working on a building, right?
That's true. It's
Someone
so appropriate.
Literally.
Thank you. Welcome. You're welcome to the church in Ocean Park. I'm the Reverend Gollery McKeithen, and I'm the minister at the church in Ocean Park. And we welcome you here if you're Jewish, if you're Christian, if you're Buddhist, if you're Hindu, if you're Wiccan, if you're spiritual but not religious, if you're anything I didn't mention, if you're Christian, if you're or something else altogether, we welcome you to the church in Ocean Park. We welcome you if you like organized religion or if you don't. No matter if you're where you were born or where you're going. You're welcome if you're gay, straight, transgender, non-binary, queer, or indescribable, or simply fabulous. You're welcome if you're here on purpose or by accident. Welcome to the church in Ocean Park. I want to begin with a land acknowledgement. We are talking about buildings, and we do have a building in Santa Monica, and it does sit on stolen land. All of us are sitting today on stolen land. To all of our relations, we, the settlers of this land, honor the Keech, the Tongva, the Chumash, and other peoples. We are grateful. May we become good guests upon your land. We acknowledge the harms of genocide, enslavement, forced assimilation, gender violence, destruction of sacred sites, and the burial of historic truth about Indigenous suffering at the hands of U.S. colonial settlerism. We apologize for this harm by pledging ourselves to be part of a culture of repair. Let us join our hearts to the protection of sacred sites and villages, as well as to the indigenous people who live among us. I also wish to acknowledge that we are in the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. This is a sacred month in the Islamic tradition, one in which the pilgrimage to Mecca takes place. And as I understand it, in these first 10 days, it's recommended to increase all good deeds, prayer, and fasting. And good deeds are especially emphasized. So this is an important first day of the most sacred month in the Islamic tradition. If folks want to share more about it, please post in the chat. We'll be discussing the pilgrimage more next Sunday. And Kandaway Abdullah will be our speaker. Now we'll center ourselves with the Thich Nhat Hanh chant, and Louise Dobbs is going to lead us in that.
Yes, this Thich Nhat Hanh chant. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. We'll do that 3 times. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I have another song for you. This one is called Prayers for Freedom, and it's by a group, 2 young women called MaMuse, M-A-M-U-S-E. They're from Northern California. This is called Prayers for Freedom. Blessed river, polishing stones, she's polishing our hearts. We are cleaning our thrones to sit side by side in our awakened homes. Love is always watching. Love is always watching. And we're gonna sing, sing, sing our prayers for freedom. And we're gonna sing, sing, sing our prayers for freedom. Gonna sing, sing, sing our prayers for freedom. Sing our prayers for freedom for humankind. Medicine giver, gentle spirit of the land. She's polishing our hearts in ways we don't understand. We walk side by side and offer both our hands. Love is always watching. Yeah, love is always watching. And we're gonna sing, sing, sing our prayers for freedom. Yeah, we're gonna sing, sing, sing our prayers for freedom. Yeah, we're gonna sing, sing, sing our prayers for freedom. Sing our prayers for freedom for all the land. Sing our prayers for freedom for all the land. Brothers, sisters, brave pilgrims of the night, we have followed our hearts, and to truth we have arrived. To sit by side in divinity's sights. Love is always watching. Love is always watching. And we're gonna sing, sing, sing our songs for freedom. And we're gonna sing, sing, sing our prayers for freedom. And we're gonna sing, sing, sing our prayers for freedom, freedom.
you, Louise. Beautiful. The message this morning, I'll be sharing it with the co-chairs of the administrative board. So they'll be unmuting themselves in a moment to help me share the celebration and the anxiety and what our plans are for a regathering. This may date me, but way back when, the BBC aired a comedy program that was a satirical look at the news, and it was called That Was the Week That Was. Anybody remember that? That was the week that was. I think that we should create, as the church in Ocean Park, the next version of that show, and we should call it That Was the Year That Was. I don't know about you. Well, I do know about you, but for me, this has been quite a year. In the last few weeks, there have been numerous articles, blogs, and books cited about anxiety and celebration. It's interesting how frequently celebration and anxiety go together. I know that's what some experienced when they were preparing for this year's queer prom last month, celebration and anxiety. Dr. Margaret Paul has written a workbook entitled Healing Celebration Anxiety. And she observes that for many people, even holidays are times of experiencing celebration anxiety. And she provides a lot of exercises and inner reflections to ease that anxiety so that you can fully enjoy the celebration. Living through the COVID pandemic has heightened the intensity of both celebration and anxiety. The 4th of July parade, the queer prom, winter celebrations, birthdays, weddings, graduations, memorial services, so many things were either minimized or completely canceled this past year due to the pandemic. And then finally, in June, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced fully vaccinated people can go back to doing many of the things they did pre-pandemic. Last Sunday, my neighborhood began to come out more fully. There were 3- and 4-generation families gathered in their front yards. Barbecues were fired up. Easy ups were covering the yards. Older people were comfortable in their camping chairs, and they were sort of holding court as the kids laughed and ran around them. Adults smiled, and you could actually see their smile, their faces, because there were no masks. There was a palpable "we are alive" atmosphere with an underlying whiff of the Delta variant. Corinne Miller, a health and lifestyle journalist, wrote that people really want to celebrate, but some are also anxious to a return to whatever normal. Depending on your situation, it can feel very uneasy to return to what you used to do after more than a year of avoiding these activities, no matter how much you want to get back to it. As pandemic restrictions are lifting and demands for our daily routines are once again changing quickly, it isn't hard to feel unsettled, writes psychologist Alicia Clark. She's the author of Hack Your Anxiety. Even with trusted information, we're still tasked with making individual decisions about our own health and safety once again. And not every person will see it in the same way. Not every person who's listening right now to my words will see it the same way. In other words, our individual decisions would be very different, and you might find yourself questioning your own decisions and changing them on occasion. This can be especially complicated when it comes to navigating social situations. If you decide to go to a celebration or gathering, Clark recommends being gentle with yourself. For some people, permission to be normal again will be like a cage lifted, and for others, it could feel scary. And I think for many people, it'll feel a little bit of both. So instead of judging your emotions or anybody else's, Clark suggests exploring your own emotions and try to figure out what's behind your feelings. She says that this will allow you to have more compassion for yourself and for other people. It's been a long and scary time, and our virus anxiety has helped keep us safe, Clark writes. It's okay if it doesn't just evaporate overnight. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you or that you need to feel ashamed. It means that you're human and you took the virus seriously. Family therapist David Clough, author of You're Not Crazy, Letters from Your Therapist, provides an avenue for healing by advising that it's important to be aware of your personal boundaries before going to a celebration gathering. Ask yourself, am I pushing myself past what I'm comfortable with? If you don't feel comfortable attending a gathering yet, it's perfectly okay to decline an invitation or find a virtual means of participating. If you're anxious, not quite ready to miss out on activities, Dr. Close suggests talking with a friend or family about your feelings, just not holding them in. Infectious disease expert Dr. Amish Adalia is a senior scholar at Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. Amish points out deciding whether or not to do certain activities comes down to a risk tolerance decision about what you feel comfortable with. There may be people listening right now who don't understand anxiety at all, this anxiety, and they just want to get on with it. They never had the anxiety, they never will. I encourage these people to be gentle with people who don't feel that same way. We don't know another person's situation. And to those who are cautious, I encourage you to understand those who are not anxious, those who are ready to jump in and don't quite understand you and why you are hesitant. It's a difficult time and people are in different places. Take care of yourself. If you feel pressured, let that person know you'd rather they didn't pressure you. There are also people listening to this right now who would have loved to get the vaccine, would have loved to get together, but due to their individual situation, they can't. There are many people who don't have the same options, who really don't need us to pressure them to return. People who would love to get together, but they can't, and are pressuring them isn't helpful. We don't always know who is unable to gather and who chooses not to gather, and we really don't need to be the judge of that. The bottom line is people are in different places, and judging another person for their response to getting together is not loving and it's not helpful. It's human to ascribe reasons for why people do things, but in this case, it isn't the way to care for each other. Now I will turn to our administrative board co-chairs who have some things to share with you this morning. And I believe first is Joanne.
Good morning. Just want to tell you all that preparations are being made for us to gather in person. The CIOP Regathering Task Force has been learning the new state and county health guidelines and orders, and we'll try to stay on top of them as they change. They have been working through examining our facilities and thinking about our behaviors with recommendations for reopening our facility. Central in all of their deliberations is the well-being of our beloved community. At the heart of their contemplations, discussions, and decisions is a love for each person. Part of our ceiling in the sanctuary has fallen down, and the remainder of it is at risk for falling. So to keep us all safe while we make some repairs, our first in-person services on Sundays will be meeting outside in the yard. You will continue to have the option to join gatherings on Zoom, even while some of us are meeting in person. We will be posting more details about regathering in our weekly email. But one of our most important acts of preparation, one of the most compassionate acts each of us can perform, one of the most sacred acts of being a beloved community is to extend gentle grace to each other. When we can honor another's risk tolerance decision, when we can respect another's space of safety in this time of public health fluidity, in ways that honor our own boundaries, we will encourage healing in our community.
Yes, and so respect is the word. Respect is the word. And it reminds me of a well-known song, which I will mention before I conclude. But when we can respect the boundaries of others, and while also respecting our own feelings, we can contribute to recovery. and strengthen the immune system of our community. Yes, our community has an immune system, and our church family, our church home has a community system, has a system that strengthens and embraces us as well. So I'm reminded of Aretha Franklin's song, Respect. And as I read some of the words of her song, Respect, I want to say that it is the church saying these words. It is our home community saying these words to us. What you want, I've got it. What you need, you know I got it. All I'm asking is for a little respect, just a little bit, just a little bit. And when you come home in just a little while, hey baby, just a little bit. When you get home to the church community, to the church home, just a little respect. You know, I'm about to give you all things. Oh, your kisses and are sweeter than honey. All things are good for you. All I need is a little RESPECT, respect. So our church is welcoming us. And in fact, the community, the immune community, the immune system of our church community has really helped us, because I've been there for 10 years and the church roof never came down. And the church community waited until there was a pandemic when nobody could get into the church home, and then things happened. So, you know, I have to say God is good. God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. So that little respect. And so how can we show this respect? We're going to practice it a little bit this morning. So let's see, a little practice, a little practice. So when we gather, we're going to have to do several things. One, let me see if I find it here. One is that we have to be comfortable sometimes with just a handshake. Just extend a hand. If you are more comfortable with a fist bump, then we can do that. Or maybe a hand or a forearm extension. I've seen people do this as well. So that all that we have to learn these different ways of greeting. The first bump or forearm may be your preferred boundary. Extend the fist. If you are most comfortable with embracing, well, that may be good too, if you're comfortable with that. If you're not comfortable with any of those things, we can show respect by just placing a hand above our hearts and smile, and perhaps just offer a blessing. Or like the Japanese do, just bow in honor. So before we close, we're going to try these hand signals, these signals of respect as we go back to our home, and just a little respect as we go back. So first of all, let us raise our hands together in the embrace signal. That is one, the embrace signal. And then there's the other one, the fist extension. And if we are not comfortable with that, then we have the arm greeting, the elbow greeting as well. And if we are not comfortable with that, then we can all put our hands to our hearts, saying that we love you, respect you, we are here for you. Please receive my blessing and my goodwill. and good cheer. So the church home has an immune system that has kept us alive. We have that immune system, and we have kept each other alive and kicking during this whole season, during this whole time. So we give thanks. We give thanks. We give thanks. Amen.
Amen. So as we come together, if you want to hug, show me what you're going to do. If you want a handshake, what will you do? If you're comfortable with a fist bump, what will you do? If you're not comfortable with, if you want a touch-free greeting. If you want a hug and someone wants a touch-free greeting, are you going to feel bad? No. It's not about you. They're not ready. They can't do it. So we're also going to have a special space over on the side for people who just want to be, or they need to be 6 feet apart. On your own, you choose that, or you don't choose it. Nobody tells you, go over there. So there are other things in place. So we're going through the process now, and it will get to the district superintendent. But the new normal, I just want to remind us of some of the new words we've used learned this year, or that we use a lot, is virus anxiety. We didn't used to use that. Social distancing, CDC, masking. I never used to say that so much. When we used to say pivot, you know what I thought of? I used to think of a dance move. You know what my husband used to think of? Quarterback shifts direction or something. But now pivoting is like a restaurant pivoting to outdoor seating. My doctor pivoting to therapy online. Teachers and students and ministers and doctors pivoting to online learning in a matter of days. Finding ways to connect on Zoom. And how many times have you heard this last year? Unmute yourself. In the last year and a half, that's a very new thing. Do you remember when Zoom used to be a speed? Zoom, not anymore. Remember when a wave used to be in the ocean? And now it's a spike in infection. Remember when a pod was like a legume? And the long hauler was like a truck? In the past 18 months, our behaviors have changed. Online has become a way of life for many of us. And some of us have said with the psalmist, how long, O Lord, how long? There's hope in our history. There's hope in our people who have gone before us, our great and our grand ones. Our people have already known hardship. People have died at the hands of injustice. Our people have been parched by drought, stunted by malnutrition, crippled by brutality. But our people have been resilient, sung songs of hope in the face of hopelessness, danced in the fear of crippling inequity. Our people have wept by the waters of Babylon and thrived in a captor's land. Our people have known how to sink deep roots like a tree planted by the water. Those who came before us, who wept from earlier pandemics and endured other infections, they offer us a way forward. And it's just as Joseph said, it's giving thanks, giving thanks. We all made it through. We're all here together, and we all are going to show RESPECT. And we can say that when we greet each other in person. We can say, RESPECT, RESPECT, whatever it is, RESPECT. Amen.
Let us get together right down here. 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 Let's have true religion right down here. Let us have true religion right down here. Let's have true religion right down here. Let's have true religion right down here. It's kindness and compassion right down here. Kindness and compassion right down here. Kindness and compassion right down here. Let's have peace and justice 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 right down here. We're gonna get together right down here. We're gonna get together right down here. Gonna get together right down here. We're gonna get together right down here. We're gonna get together right down here. Yes, we are. And I'm so
Making me excited.
I know, I'm getting excited. Okay, so who wants to share? Community sharing is a time for you to speak whatever you want to speak. And I see a hand there. Claudia, you're up. Unmute.
This is a nice service. Thank you. And some of you kind of know what I'm going to say, and I'm stealing this from Linda Bond. And some of you have heard it, but I really, really like the principles that she came up with. We were talking about for regathering, for people getting together, and even as it relates to the church. But we know that inside is where if one is going to transmit the virus and get it, it's going to happen inside. And there is a difference between if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. And if you wear a mask and you're inside, everyone's safe. The principle that Linda came up with, kind of a red line, which I really like to guide us, is we don't ever want to endanger. And getting together inside for some people without a mask would be endangering. But we probably can all survive being inconvenienced. So those of us that are vaccinated and don't think we need to wear a mask, so we wear a mask. It's an inconvenience. And I kind of like that as a way to respect and the kinds of things that, well, I just think it falls under respect. But it also uses kind of a science-based approach to go after that respect.
Thank you. That brings up for me, thank you very much, that our plan so far has not included inside. So when we go to creating our plan for inside, we will have another regathering meeting about that. But for now, all we're talking about is the outside yard, just for clarification.
But it still could apply to outside, whatever would, if we could think of things that endanger. I just meant it as kind of a guidance. I just love that kind of concept.
Right. That makes sense.
I had a lesson in this with the opening of our baby college program in Boyle Heights. Linda, my co-leader, and I, who were both white and don't live in Boyle Heights, our plan was to not require masks outside if you were vaccinated, and following the CDC guidelines. And that was very comfortable for us. But then when we started talking with our teachers who live in Boyle Heights, most of them have had COVID, had close family members who were hospitalized with COVID, and even had family members who died from COVID. They were not comfortable at all with people not having a mask on, even if it was outside. And I got really frustrated at first because I'm so ready to ditch the mask. You know? And I don't think that, I think that's reasonable generally in my mind, but we had to find a solution that would feel these teachers were just, I was struck by how scared they were and how traumatized they were from the experience that I didn't have. I knew a couple people who got COVID, but not seriously. And it was easy for me to isolate. I'm not a, essential worker. So I didn't have that context. Even though I read about it, I heard about it, I worried about it, it's not the same. So we all wear masks outside, all the places. And I don't like it personally, but as you said, respect, I have to respect, and we have to make sure and not endanger. I think it was at least emotionally dangerous, not just physically dangerous for us to not wear masks. So I have my mask for when I'm there. And let me tell you, it was like 100 degrees on Friday, and that mask was very uncomfortable, but hey.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this is just a brief story about the signals. Because pre-pandemic, when we had the last in-person splash of LA that's put on by Kid City downtown, we had a fancy dress dunk tank. And there was this one girl who really wanted to be in it, and her mom wouldn't let her. And she came to me and said, my mom's going to let me do it. So she finally talked her mom into letting her do it. And at the end of, when we were all saying goodbye, I went like this, just kind of giving her an air hug, not really indicating, I didn't think, it looked like they were leaving, and I didn't really expect a hug, but she came running over and wrapped her arms around me, and we hugged. And then her mom came over and we hugged, and then her sister came over and we hugged. And so it was, there is, just this air hug. That's another thing, but it can also result in an actual hug. So,
Yes.
And one other thing, I don't know if other people have seen the Queer Prom article in Spectrum News. If you haven't, I'll post it in the chat and you can see. I thought Chase, who's the reporter, did a good job of capturing the flavor of it. Actually, a very good job. She, sort of interviewed some of the teens, kind of his background as well. And I do have some role in it. I was trying to explain the church's role in it, but that much of that got edited out. Anyway, I'll post it if you haven't seen it. So.
Yeah, could you send the link to me, and maybe we'll put it in the weekly email.
Yeah, he did send the link. All right, who we have? Sarah Bonda and Edward.
Hello.
Hello.
Good
So
morning.
good to hear your voice.
Well, I don't have my wig on, so I'm not going to show my face.
Okay.
Bob Dylan called the period when he was not around people, he called it a winterlude. And I just want to give thanks and praise to Janet, Louise, Kim, Dr. Kim, Jean, Joseph, and everyone who helped us get through this pandemic, this period of Zooming and not being with each other. Thank you so much. It's made a difference for everyone's lives, if they tell you or not. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for that, Edward. Appreciate it. Louise has learned so much technology. I want to say thank you to Louise. She's a tech wizard now.
Sort of. But thank you, Janet. Okay, I see, I think Jeannie, and then Wendy, and then Rachel.
Well, I wanted to give thanks to some more people because I take notes during the admin board meetings. It's amazing what it takes to run this church behind the scenes. I didn't know that before I participated like this. And the finances during this year of COVID, we haven't had renters. Our people have had to get loans and all this paperwork. And now the stuff with the ceiling. So there is a whole army of people who are running this church behind the scenes that you don't see. And I wanted to say that I'm grateful for them.
Thanks, Jeannie, that's important. Wendy.
I just wanted to say that I know somebody, he's an Uber Lux driver in Beverly Hills, and he was totally vaxxed with the Moderna. And he ended up very sick for a week and a half at home. He texted me, he's a client of mine, child visitation monitoring client. And he thought he was gonna die, but then he ended up going to the emergency room. And he was in the hospital about a week. He just got out day before yesterday. He had COVID pneumonia from that new strain that came out, and he was totally vaxxed. I mean, I haven't changed my behavior because of it. I've been working all through the pandemic. And I'm, I wear my mask most of the time, especially since that he told me what went on. But I mean, I'm not trying to scare people. I just want you to know that the people that are afraid, it's for a reason, and people that are vaxxed are still getting COVID. Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. All right, Rachel.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on what Wendy just said, and of course I had no idea what she was going to say prior to my having the floor. Yeah, to me, this thing ain't over. We do not have enough people vaccinated, especially here in this country. We've got millions of people refusing the vaccination, which to me is complete insanity. And so, even if we are feeling comfortable, I think that we should, or at least I should speak in I's and not we's. I should keep up the regimen and make sure to not get out of practice of good good standards. And so just trying to keep that in light of the church opening back up again, that if we practice good behaviors, then that is a demonstration out to others of because I just recently read an article where a lot of this is peer pressure driven, and so if we're demonstrating good practices, then others will see that and say, oh, okay, well, I want to fit in. I don't want to be the odd person out. So I'll go along with the flow, kind of thing. Just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I see your hand up, Bonnie, but let me go to Joanne Berlin and then Bonnie.
Yeah, I just want to say to anybody who is feeling still quite frightened about this virus, if you have been vaccinated with any of the vaccines that we have had, you do not have to worry anymore about death or even being in ICU with COVID. If you get a variant, it's it's going to maybe, if for most people you won't even know it, but those who do get sick, the vast majority of them, only a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of them will get ill enough to go to the hospital. But the vast majority will not get that sick. So I just wanted to throw that out there from a scientific point of view, in case there's somebody listening to this who still has a tremendous fear of death or being intubated. The chances of that are minuscule.
Thank you very much, Joanne. Bonnie, go ahead.
Well, I have to say, there can be multiple reasons, of course, for getting vaccinated, multiple reasons for not getting vaccinated. And we need to honor where a person is coming from. I think it's important for all of us to listen to each other, take in the information, and hope for the best. Things are still frighteningly experimental. Anyway, when it comes to greetings, I have found the fist bump rather harsh, unless I'm in a macho mood, or the elbow bump even harder. How about rubbing arms gently, like so? Some people have responded favorably to that. It's not hyper close hugging, but it's a slight touch.
I like that. Maybe we'll suggest that.
And then I've realized, gee, come back to church, I'll have to put my shoes on. I'm always barefooted for Sunday morning. And I want to thank Janet, Joanne, Jean, Louise, I mean, so many of you that I'm not thinking of right now, for all that you have done and are doing for keeping things together, keeping the church going and keeping it together. Thank you so much. A huge gift you've been given.
Thank you, Bonnie. And I do want to reiterate just what Bonnie was saying. Everybody's in a different place, so we need not to judge one another. We have no idea why somebody does one thing or another. And I like this idea, sideways. I also want to say, I don't think you have to wear your shoes.
Thank you. This is a great community. You know, all the things that are being said just belong here. And next up is Linda Bond. So unmute and speak.
Well, I just want to say to Bonnie that I think putting on shoes is goes into the category of inconvenience. So whatever. I think I mean, for me, it's like taking a shower, right? I mean, nobody can tell if you've had a shower if you're on Zoom, but on the real, I mean, to get more serious, I want to just thank Gail for what she said. I think it's about love, right? It's about having a loving response and understanding, opening your heart to other people's trauma and being willing to suck it up, the inconvenience of wearing a mask in a hot day. I think it's hard. I mean, it's definitely more inconvenient than putting on shoes for most of us. But it doesn't endanger us to wear a mask outside, and it's very loving. Maybe you can see in my background, Carmen and Chloe, their mother is very risk averse. I saw them yesterday. This is not a photograph from yesterday, but this is how they were dressed yesterday. Well, different dresses, but those same masks. We were outside. Yeah, we were outside in their garden. They were wearing these masks. I was wearing whatever, a KN95 or something. And we were not able to come close enough to hug. You know, and Meme is getting really good at the air hug. I mean, I would just tell you, I mean, Meme does sort of this and then this and then this and then this. That's Carmen. I mean, she celebrated both her third and her fourth birthday on Zoom. And has lost all of her English, actually, because she's mostly with her mother and she mostly speaks Chinese. And I find it very difficult, right? And so y'all are my community. I feel like I can share this, but the bottom line is that all I can do is act in love and acknowledge whatever trauma their mother brings into this. And, I'm definitely not going to argue the science with her, because that's not where it is. That's just not where it is. And I just think that, and I appreciate, so I just want to say thank you to Gail and to Janet and to everybody who has brought this to us.
I have invited Jean Gasca to sing a song with us today.
So we're going to sing Hineh Ma Tov, but this is a new version of it. It's a call and response. It says call in black and response in red, but red didn't show up on the chat, sorry. So the first verse just says the words in small bunches, Hineh. So I just want you to repeat it with me at home. Hineh Ma Tov, Uma, Naim. And then we can sing this all together, or you can just listen. Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. So I'm just going to point out a few words here. The word Tov in Hebrew means good, and Naim means pleasant. So this song means how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to sit together in unity. The second verse has some bigger bunches of words. Hineh Ma Tov. Repeat after me. Hineh Ma Tov. Uma Naim. Shevet Achim. And you got to get that ch behind the chim, right? Shevet Achim. Gam Yachad. Chad also has that great guttural sound. So here's how it goes. I'm going to sing it one time slowly so that you can respond. Hineh, Hineh, Ma Tov, Ma Tov, Uma, Uma, Naim, Naim, Shevet Achim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. Let's try that again. Hineh, Hineh, Ma Tov, Ma Tov, Uma, Uma, Naim, Naim, Shevet Achim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. Hineh Ma Tov, Hineh Ma Tov, Uma Naim, Uma Naim, Shevet Achim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad, Gam Yachad. Hineh Ma Tov, Hineh Ma Tov, Uma Naim, Uma Naim, Shevet Achim, Shevet Yachim, Gam Yachad. We'll sing it one time fast. Hineh, Hineh, Ma Tov, Ma Tov, Uma Naim, Naim, Shevet Achim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. Hineh, Hineh, Ma Tov, Ma Tov, Uma, Uma, Naim, Naim, Shevet Achim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. Hineh Ma Tov, Hineh Ma Tov, umanayim, umanayim, shevet ahim, gam yachad, Hineh Ma Tov, umanayim, shevet ahim, gam yachad. Hey. So how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to sit together. We're sitting together on Zoom, and pretty soon we're going to sit together, even if we're far apart.
Thank you, Jeannie. No? Okay. To the following people who have birthdays: Fran, Janet, Floyd, Joanne, Emma, Sarah Banda, and have I missed anybody?
I think that's it. Joanne, Sarah Bonded, Janet, Floyd, Emma. Yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Fran. Happy birthday, dear Janet. Happy birthday, dear Floyd. Happy birthday, dear Joanne. Happy birthday, dear Emma. Happy birthday, dear Sarah Banda. Happy birthday to you.
Give thanks for these lives, and we also just lift up those who are suffering and in pain as well. We hold them in both hands and in our hearts.
Yeah. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Peace and justice in that land. Peace and justice in that land. Peace
Come go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come go with me to that land where I'm bound. One more time. Come go with me to that land where I'm bound. Where I'm bound.
We take our arms and we spread them out. We lift so many of these folks up, so many people experiencing tragedies and so many people celebrating, and people like us getting ready to celebrate. So we give thanks for all of that and say together, carry on. 1, 2, 3, carry on.
Carry on.
You guys remember to practice your things, whatever you want.
Carry on.